Well, I try to like remind myself of, because honestly, the paper, even though it's amazing, it really like how you feel. It really matters like how you feel in that place, like every day and with yourself.
Totally.
But I do have to remind myself. I'm like, oh, this is it. Like
you
else,
made it.
I made it. Like, and way more. Like I had no ambition. My ambitions were to like get into the core of a company. Never thought of being a soloist or principal. So that is like already amazing.
Indy, why don't you intro the podcast?
Okay.
Hello, welcome. Do you know it?
No.
Maybe shall I continue to do it?
No, I don't know it. I've never even seen it.
I only saw it once. I'm just remembering it from Indy's. Okay, fine. I'll do it. I just was suddenly like, do you think it's weird that I'm only the introer? Okay.
I can do it if you want.
It's fine. I'll do.
Okay.
Hello.
I want to keep it. No, do it.
Okay. Welcome back to another podcast. Welcome back to another episode of the Grace and Form podcast, your backstage pass into the world of movement and the stories that shape it.
Beautiful.
Welcome, Sass.
Thank you so much. I feel such a pleasure listening to you intro this podcast.
Yes.
Delightful. So, Indy.
Yes.
You're going away next week. Where are you going?
I am. I'm going to Paris to see my dad and my little brother, Alyosha, who's 3.5.
I can't believe he's 3.5.
I know, it's
crazy.
crazy. I know.
It's so nuts.
It's insane.
How do you stay, like, you'll keep your fitness when you're away for a week, when you're not performing?
A good question. It's hard sometimes, but what I found so amazing is actually our app, Grace and Form Studio, is a little plug. But really, it's helped me so much be able to take a whole variety of classes in the comfort of my home and my kitchen, because usually I would try and find a dance studio, which I do when I go to Paris because I love a place called Cité Véron and a teacher named Jean-Marie. That's my favorite place to go take class, but I can't always make it to those classes because it's one time in the day and not on the weekends. So I like to do bar in the kitchen of my home in Paris. Otherwise, I love to do my Pilates, just like the simple things. But again, those videos are really what have made me able to travel everywhere.
I want to see a video of Alyosha joining you at the bar.
The kitchen bar. Post it.
Perfect. I love it. Okay, so today, talking about traveling.
Yes.
This next guest has really traveled in his career and to the States too.
Yep.
So we hear about his journey growing up in Brazil and then going to Miami City Ballet. What that was like, going to New York. And he's one of your really good friends too.
Yeah, his name is Jovani Furlan, and he is from Brazil, like you said, Sass, and he moved to Miami when he was, I think, about 17 or 18, shortly joined Miami City Ballet, and I actually met him when I went to Miami City Ballet summer course when I was little, and I was just in awe of him. I had the biggest crush on him. I thought he was the most gorgeous dancer, gorgeous human, etc., and I'm so excited to have him on this podcast, and we talk about his journey to New York City, where I now know him as one of my closest friends, and he is just a ball of sunshine. He gives us so many tips about wellness and mental clarity and sharpness and well-being. I think that's like a really important thing that we share, Jovani and I, is mental health and feeling really strong in ourselves and things that can help us grow and learn continuously.
And he also has a brilliant business.
Yes.
Furlan Dancewear.
Amazing dancewear, so comfortable and beautiful.
And we love talking to him about it. I think as fellow entrepreneurs, it's so fun learning about how people spend their off time also building something for themselves. So he gives us tips in the studio, out of the studio. And this episode, I think you're going to really love for that reason. So let's get into it. This is Jovani.
I don't know about you, but growing up as a dancer, I lived in my leotards. I remember getting ready for class and always reaching for my favorite one, the one that made me feel confident, comfortable, and ready to take on whatever the day threw at me, whatever that may be. But finding that perfect mix of style, comfort, and durability for that sweat, that's not always easy, especially on a budget. That's why I love Discount Dance. It's been my go-to for years, and now, whether you're a beginner or a pro, you can find everything you need in one place. Leotards, tights, shoes, warm-ups, you name it. And the best part, they make it affordable, with sizes that fit every dancer. And here's a little treat just for you. Use code FORM20 at checkout to get 20% off your first order and score free shipping on orders over $50. So why wait? Head to discountdance.com and stock up on all your dance essentials today.
Hello, everyone.
Thank you so much for joining us.
Yes, thank you for having
New
me.
York City Ballet principal and creator of
Furlan Dancewear and Dance Fuel.
Yeah.
Yes.
So fun.
Yeah.
How would you, if somebody said to you at a dinner party, how would you describe yourself, or like, who are you? Would you instantly go in with, I'm a principal dancer at New York City Ballet?
Yeah,
I think
I
think I try to just go for like dancer.
You're a dancer.
Because sometimes it sounds a little pretentious, like I'm a principal
at New York City Ballet.
But sometimes I've heard people say like, "Oh, you're a dancer. That's so cute." And then I feel like,
I'm a
principal. Like I perform at Lincoln Center every night. Then I feel like I have to go in.
People know me. People come to watch me.
Yeah. And then people always go into like, "Oh, do you, like if you have other interests?" And then I build, I'm talking about the brand, or I say like, also like run 2 businesses and
You're
like, I'm
multifaceted.
professional and successful, so.
Trying to be every day.
It's pretty amazing, and like Indy and I talk about it now all the time. Now that we've got something going, and you're having to juggle your career as a dancer and having this other business, it's a lot. And you've been doing it for a while.
Yeah.
I mean, the dancewear, it's been 1.5 years now.
Yeah.
Wow. Already?
Yeah, it's crazy. Well, actually, it's closer to 2 years. In June, it's gonna be 2 years.
Wow.
So yeah.
Super driven.
Incredible.
You have to be very organized and have a lot going on just to be able to fit all those things into your day. I wonder, like, if I was to meet little Jovani, whether I would look at him and be like, oh yeah, he's gonna do all this stuff.
Yeah, I think growing up, and just because I think like my dad really instilled that on me. Like he always like had businesses when I was growing up, and he was the one who actually told me to like start the brand.
Oh, really?
Because I was like, I don't want to have, as dancers, we're told where to be, what to do, how to do it. Like we make very few decisions for ourselves. So it's really hard to like actually start something, like have the drive to like, oh, I actually want to build something I'm in control of, something I have to make decisions. So I don't think like if my dad didn't push me, I would have started. Like even though growing up, I always had like interests of doing other things, it's very easy to just fall into like, the wave of like, oh, I'll go where my career takes me,
Oh yeah, that's kind of how I felt with Sassy. Sassy pushed me to do this collaboration of Grace and Form.
Yeah.
And I always wanted to do it, always, but I was also in this like comfy lull of being where I am in my career and just going with it, because it's also a lot of work, obviously. Yeah. But then realizing, no, I want to also make decisions in my life and create something that's special or like that, you really believe in.
Yeah. So, and then you need someone to push you.
Yeah. And then you figure out the way to like time manage during our hectic schedule.
Yeah, which is hectic. So you need those people. Has your dad always kind of been that person, like even with ballet from a young age?
Yeah, I mean, he was always the one like driving me and picking me up, and he wasn't like very involved in like the dance part.
Yes.
In the beginning, I know he didn't even really want me to do ballet. I only found that out like 10 years after I was already like dancing.
Really?
That in the beginning he was hesitant, but he was always like very like proud, and even though he doesn't get it sometimes, but he was always like the person that pushed me.
Your parents were supportive.
Yeah, both of them,
career.
like always very supportive. Like my grandma was the one who told me to do it, but then the business, he was like, during the pandemic, that he was like, you should like really, like you have a name, you should really do something for yourself. I mean, he wanted me to do like hats. I'm like, Dad, why? I don't know. He was so like baseball caps with my name, and I was like, Dad, why would I do? Like we don't wear,
because you're famous.
But like we don't
Furlan.
wear. Yeah, but at the same time, like we don't wear like
baseball cap in ballet.
In ballet.
Ballet.
Yeah, I mean, I can do
but
like.
You would make it the new trend.
Yeah, maybe one day.
I love it.
Your dad just really, really believed in anything that you could do.
Yeah,
obviously.
anything that would have my name in it.
When did you start ballet?
It was 2004. I was like 10 to 11 years old.
Oh wow.
Actually, like
that's later.
Yeah.
Wow.
It is a little later. Yeah.
How did that come to be? So you grew up in Brazil?
I grew up in Brazil. So a small town in the south, and the Bolshoi from Russia, they have a school there. They have like a satellite school in my hometown, which is super random. It was like some political thing, like that they opened a school there.
Yeah.
And then what they do is like, the very like Vaganova like Russian way of thinking of ballet is like, oh, you have to have the body for the ballet.
Yeah.
For like doing ballet. Mm-hmm. So they just go to regular schools. I was like in 4th grade, and my grandma knew that they were coming to the school to like recruit new students, and she said, "Oh, you love dancing, why don't you do it?" And like I love dancing like at family barbecues, you know, just like you know, dancing to like popular music.
Yeah.
And I could do a split already before I started dancing.
You're really flexible.
Yeah, and then
that's pretty impressive.
Natural flexibility.
Yeah, just like one way. Yeah, like anyway. And then she was like, "Oh, you should do the test." So I just went in and did it, but I had no idea what I was getting myself into. Like I thought ballet was for girls. I really did think. And like my first day in the school, they're like, "Oh, what size of shoe are you? Because we need you to try on like ballet slippers." And I was like, "I have to wear ballet slippers?"
You're like, "I'm not wearing sneakers."
Yeah, I'm like, I don't
shoes?
like I don't even know what I was thinking. Like anyway, so it was because of her, but I had no idea what I was getting myself into.
So interesting, such an interesting age as well to start dancing.
Yeah.
I have a 9-year-old nephew, and I'm just starting to see him become quite aware of himself and self-conscious.
Yeah.
And doing something like, even he loved to dance and like be silly, but then suddenly he's aware of his body and kind of how other people look at him and think.
Yeah.
Was that an interesting part of starting to dance? Were you at all, was it natural, or did you kind of feel like, oh, this is a bit different from what my friends are doing?
Yeah, it definitely felt different, but because in the ballet school, like when I started, there were 40 boys in my level.
Oh, wow.
It's like really big. Yeah.
That's incredible.
Yeah, it was like, so you didn't feel like it was strange.
Okay.
Yeah,
Like there were, it felt very like easy to just focus on the work, and it felt normal because there were so many people around me, you know, like so many boys. And I mean, that was just the first level. There are 8 levels. So all of them, I mean, of course it narrows down at the end and ends up being like less than 10 in the class, but it didn't feel weird.
Yeah.
I liked it. I liked the work. I liked coming in and having to be like super focused.
Yeah.
Because it was like 4 to 5 hours a day, and it wasn't just ballet. Like we did like music, we did like gymnastics, we did like history of dance, history of music. We had like English classes, so it was and all
incredible.
with the same, like it was like in the ballet school. It was like full day like that.
Wow. That's so interesting.
Yeah, you dove in deep quite quickly.
Yeah, very quickly.
And then it became intense, and then it was obviously what you wanted to do.
Yeah. Well, I think
You
like
found a
I
passion.
liked being a good student, so that made it easy.
Yeah.
Like I liked being like teacher's pet, you know, whatever you do, whatever you tell me to do it, I'll do it.
I was quite like that too.
It's very, so it's
Yeah.
like, it's, when you fall into something like that, like ballet, it's easy to like kind of like thrive in it, because it's all about the work at the end of the day. I mean, there are things that are out of our control, but at the end of the day, if you come in and you work hard,
and you motivate yourself,
you're gonna get better. It doesn't mean sometimes people, doesn't matter how good you are, if the director doesn't like you, they don't like you, but at least for yourself, you can come in and like feel fulfilled.
Yeah. How long were you at that school?
7 years.
7 years. And what was your journey after that?
Well, so on my 7th year, it's 8 years to graduate, so I didn't even graduate. I found out about Jackson IBC. It's like an international ballet competition. Happens every 4 years. And I found out like a month before, maybe, like you couldn't even like apply for it anymore. But I just sent them an email. Like I already like spoke English, thankfully, and I sent them an email. I was like, "Oh, we're from this ballet school. We don't really get to go to competitions, but they're allowing us to come to this one. I know like applications are done, but I would really like to try it." And then they said yes. We sent a video, went to the competition, did terribly,
Really?
so bad. Oh, so bad. I was so nervous. I felt so unprepared, because also like in the school, it was such a closed environment.
Yeah.
They didn't want us like exposed to other schools, other techniques, no summer programs, no competitions, nothing. It was very much
closed.
just like military. And also like you didn't like really dance like solos or variations until you were like in your last year.
Oh, wow.
So I had only danced one variation in a studio performance in my life. And then suddenly I was in this competition, like
with so many people.
Yeah, like kids that had been going to like all the big competitions for years since they were like 12, like going to IAGP. So like they're so like seasoned with their performance.
Competition dancers.
Yeah, and like I was like, oh my god, I was so nervous, so scared. I did really bad, but it was a competition that went for 3 weeks long, and you just like stay in like an university. You have classes every day. There's people from like all places. So I got cut in the first round, but you stayed through the end, you know. And I was just in class every day, and then I got offered a scholarship to Miami City Ballet School.
Yeah, that's
amazing. Because Edward Villela, the founder of Miami City Ballet, and Roma Sosenko, which is one of their repertory directors, they were both there. They saw me in class and offered me a scholarship.
That's so nice with that competition that it's 3 weeks because I don't know how I did YGP too, and I really was so scared to do competitions as well because I grew up in the same kind of scenario where I had a really Russian classical trained just like small studio, and we were like very much just in that studio, which was wonderful. But when I got to venture out and do this YGP competition, I wasn't as used to like performing, I guess.
Yeah.
Even though we would have like 2 performances a year, which was great, but it was like with all these kids and young dancers that had been trained to do competition.
Doing like 12 pirouettes.
12 pirouettes.
Oh my goodness.
Like balancing for like 80 counts.
Yeah.
You know, like the craziest things, and you just go and you're like,
like, hey, I'm really good in class.
Exactly, but that's what's so nice about that.
Yeah.
It's cool in that competition that you were able to be cut in the first round but stay.
Yeah.
And that's just, like what a wonderful format, because it gives people, you know, we don't always win at things, and then to have to leave and actually not experience some of the benefits of being around those people and those dancers.
Yeah, no.
But it's tough. I mean, that's one of the hardest things about doing competitions. Particularly, I remember we did the same thing. We did YGP straight out of Yuri's, the school India and I went to, and kind of all of a sudden it being like ballet or dance, which at that point for me it had been like much more of a holistic thing, something I loved to do with my friends. I was so passionate about it.
Yeah.
And then to be like cut or not given an award, it's suddenly then you start to realize, oh, I can be rated on if I'm good at this.
Something that I was just like, oh, I thought it was, I don't know, doing well. And then,
Totally.
Like,
how did you manage auditioning for places? Did you ever audition for anywhere? That was
never. Well, then
that was your
later,
entry.
New York City Ballet, but that was also very different.
Yeah.
But I never really had to audition. It's also what's I think weird about my journey. It's like, okay, I guess I auditioned for the ballet school, but not based on anything that I knew. Like
you didn't know really.
They kind of just like they ask for you to clap in rhythm to see if you like can keep up with musicality, and they look at your body. They literally like measure. Yeah. Like they see if your hips turn out. So that doesn't really. No. That was like genetics. I didn't have to have anything.
Yeah.
You know?
It's so interesting. Somebody once said to me that, you know, often it's like life is like being in a boat, and sometimes you're like going in the right direction of the tide, and sometimes it's like an uphill row. Yeah. And it just sounds like with those little elements, you were just on this boat, and it was kind of just like gently
with the big hats.
With the big hats, sending you downstream.
Your dad wanted you to make.
Exactly.
That's why.
Yeah. Beautiful. So you went to Miami.
Yeah.
Hugely different move, surely.
You know, I saw you in Miami.
Yeah.
I told you about that, right?
Yeah. I mean, we didn't know each other.
We didn't know each other, but I was a dancer in like the summer program or something, and I remember seeing you in class. Because everybody was like, you have to go see this guy. He's amazing and so handsome. And I was like, okay, I'll go. And so I went to the window.
Okay, group trip.
And I went to the window and I was like, oh my gosh, who is that? And we were like that's Jovani. You were so good. And we were just like, wow, he's so talented. And you were so kind, which was so nice. It's like such a pleasure to meet someone that was like so well-rounded with like kindness and generosity and talent. It was very nice. But anyways, so you had your
response to that.
There's no response.
There's no response.
Indy's good at the compliment dump. You gotta just take it and absorb it. Sometimes just like sitting there to a compliment is like hard in itself.
It's hard. It's very challenging.
I'm gonna replay this every morning.
Yeah. This one moment. So you moved to Miami.
Yeah, that was a big shift. Going to Miami honestly felt very natural, and I loved it. Like I was just so excited. I was 17.
Yeah.
Like moving to the United States, super fun place. Yeah. There were a lot of Brazilians there, but like, I mean, even though the style was very different, I never expected to like go to a balancing like school company. Like, didn't even know what it was. I only had heard of like Serenade in my life, while being in Brazil.
Yeah.
But my dream was always to dance in the United States. Honestly, ABT. Like growing up, I wanted to go to ABT. All my friends wanted to go to Russia or like Europe. I was like, no, I want to go to the United States. So I got the scholarship, and in my head, I was just like, you know, I'm going to go. And if I don't like it, I'll go somewhere else. Like, I'll leave. But I loved it. Like, it was this, like, I loved seeing the company rehearse there. Like, that's when I really fell in love, like, seeing people, like, actually dance. Like, I don't think I understood what ballet was until I actually saw people moving like that. Even though I was, like, in this amazing school. But it just felt so, like, I don't know, like you felt like you were stuck to like this mold. Yeah. And I didn't see like people moving. And when I went to Miami, I actually saw that. Yeah. And I loved it. I mean, and I really the technique, like trying to like learn balancing felt very natural, honestly. Like the musicality and like all the nuances and like the more crossing of the legs, all of that, I loved it.
And you went straight from being in the school to the company?
No, actually I went to the school.
You went to the school?
Yeah, I started at Miami City Ballet School in like January 2011.
Yeah.
So they said like, oh, we want you to learn the technique and like eventually get into the company. But 3 months in, they offered me like apprenticeship, which was really crazy. Yeah.
So when your group of friends went to the window to watch this incredible dancer,
that was you just arrived.
Yeah, I had just arrived.
Yeah. You just
and
came
then
to America.
it was really, really wild.
Wow.
And I feel like once again I was like kind of like in the right place at the right time, because I got into the company like that summer, like as an apprentice, and then the company was going to Paris for Les Étés de la Danse, and I was supposed to go and just do like La Valse, like one ballet. The company was there for like 3 weeks, and then people got injured. I had to do like 4 ballets.
Wow.
I had to do like square dance,
oh my gosh,
PC2,
incredible.
and theme, like as an apprentice.
Wow, so
it was
incredible.
really wild.
Do you feel like that's a challenging thing, that there's the timing aspect to ballet, and also how do you feel like you can keep the open mind when things don't work out?
Yeah, well, there's a lot of the time. I feel like being at the right place at the right time, you know, of course, that's not the only thing that counts, because if you are in the right place but you're not ready, like things are not going to work out. So I feel like that happened a lot with me, like things aligned. And sometimes like you see people, they're like amazing, they're ready, but sometimes they're just not in the right place, you know. And then it just doesn't happen, and it's not something you can control. But I felt like for me, I was like so fortunate, like every single time.
With the timing.
Sometimes like, who's like looking after me, because I really feel, I always worked hard, but I do feel like there's something that I'm like lucky or blessed in a way that I don't know. And then there's like the part like, oh, you don't even deserve it, you know.
Yeah, I was actually going to ask that. I was going to say, like, being such a young dancer, going from the school for 3 months to going into the company, I'm a very open-minded person, and Indy always pushes me to like just think that there's space for everyone, and everyone, like, I'm always happy for everyone being successful. But goodness, if I was one of your friends at Miami City Ballet School, or if I was in the company and I just saw this kid come and go into the company, I'd be like, who is he?
Yeah, no, I felt it. And I had friends being like, why do you get everything? Like, and I was like, I don't know, I'm sorry. Like, I don't mean to. Do you want me to talk to them? Like, maybe they can take you into, you know. And even like my first year, like, I was an apprentice. We had just come back from Paris, and I learned Cavalier Nutcracker, like as an apprentice. But I mean, I thought it was normal. Yeah. And everyone was kind of like, what you said, like, who's this kid? Like, why is he here? Yeah. You know. So there was a lot of that that I had to like learn, and it was like another level of like being self-conscious of something that I didn't know that I had to be self-conscious about, because people started like kind of being like, just like making me feel like I shouldn't be there, that it was wrong, or I don't know.
Did you feel like any intense pressures with what you had on your plate, like the responsibilities that you had with rising up very quickly? Like, I was asked this question recently, how did your anxieties manifest with the pressures that you had to deal with? It's interesting to like have a think when you were younger, how things manifested like in your body, or like how you dealt with because we have a huge amount of pressure when we're so young and thrown into a very adult world with not so many tools, I would say sometimes. Not because of anybody's lack of giving you tools, just because of the nature of ballet is quite you start at a young age. And so you go in and you have a job at 17, which is very, very young for most people.
Oh my God, yeah.
You're in a new country. You are very lucky with the timing, as well as you're very hard worker and stuff and kind. So there's like a lot of things that go around, but I wonder how you managed to deal with all the pressure.
I don't know. It kind of just like happened. But I will say, like, I had never felt, I remember at the end of my time at the school when we were going to do like the showcase, which is kind of like the workshop, you know, of the final year, right before getting into the company, that there is when I felt like this new kind of pressure that I didn't, of just like, oh, I moved here, I have to make this work. Like they were gonna do Swan Lake, and I was like, oh my God, I have to be the prince. If I'm not the prince, like I'm not gonna get a job. None of this is gonna work. But after that, I honestly don't know. I think I just really believed in like coming in and doing the work and like trusting that. And I was very just like driven that way. Like there weren't a lot of things that were, I don't know, in my head yet, like early in my career.
Like focus more on the positive things and like
I was able to
your
do
direction
that.
of yourself.
Yeah.
Not like worrying about
and
others.
it felt like a positive environment. Also like
yeah.
I felt liked, so that helps. You know? So that
and
really...
I think it's interesting as well because luck comes and goes, but if you know that you can always count on yourself to show up and continue doing the work, you can rest on that because you're like, I know that if I do that, I'm continually like walking forward in the best way that I can,
absolutely.
Even if the boat is like going in the right direction, and you're lucky in that way.
Do you feel like, do you have any feeling of pressure before you perform or anxiety before you perform?
Major.
What is your, I'm sure you've been asked this so many times and I've actually never asked you this, but I've performed with you many times. But what is your like anxiety before a show? Oh,
it's really high. Honestly, like, always questioning the step, like, or sometimes I mean here at City Ballet, even like choreography, because sometimes I'm like, oh, did I rehearse this enough? Do I really know what's going on right now?
And then you have to perform it.
But I have very high anxiety before performing. Like I just want to like, once it starts, it's all gone. But I don't know. It's just like I kind of want to run out of the theater. Just be like, okay, what if I just like didn't show up?
It's so funny. My sister once told me this story about her, and every time I've been put in a position where like I'm on the news or there's something that's live, like performance in real time, and I always think about it and it scares me so much, which is she was once on the news and she was standing in front of the cameras realizing that she could do anything or say anything at that moment. And I've always thought about it, just like the pressure of, you know, you could go on stage. You could just start singing. You could do whatever.
I could just like stand there and be like, what y'all gonna do about it? You know?
And it's
like,
funny that when we're anxious, these thoughts do come up. Like I could do whatever in this moment, you know.
Like, no one can stop me.
No one can stop me. I mean, my career would be gone, but you know, I have all the power in this moment. The audience are here. It's so funny. So you went from Miami City Ballet, you went through that, and then was that your journey? You were there for how long until
9 years. I was there for 9 years.
Wow.
I was there for a long time.
I didn't know that.
And I worked, like I was hired by Edward Villa, I got my core contract from him.
Yeah.
Then he left before I even started. And then Lourdes Lopez took over. So I only had like a year and a half with Eddie. Like one is I was an apprentice. Well, they had 2 levels of apprentice there. Anyway, so I was there for 9 years, like did all the ranks, you know. Also when Lourdes came in, she kind of treated me the same way that like, I felt like the journey, my career didn't change, because you know when you change directors you can change.
That can change.
But Lourdes, you know, just had me in the same, you know, level, and I felt like she was pushing me. She kept me there. Cool. So I had like a beautiful 9 years there, and I loved it. I mean, I was set, like I felt like, oh, this is it. This is where I want to have my whole career. Like I never thought of like leaving.
What pushed you to leave?
Well, my love for like falling in love with balancing. I think first of all, like the movement, and I think once I got to Miami City Ballet, I started like doing balancing work. Then I found out about New York City Ballet, like how the company works, all the performances that the company had throughout the year. But then I saw that you couldn't join. You didn't go to the school. So I was like, okay, let's set that dream aside. Like you're here, you're in a balancing company, it's wonderful. Also got to do all the classical works there too, which I'm very grateful for. Like, you know, Don Q, like Giselle, Romeo and Juliet.
So
like,
cool.
I love that I got to do all of that. But I saw the New York City Ballet, you know, had a change. Peter was leaving as a director. Some dancers were leaving, like principal dancers. And I saw that window, you know. I was like, oh, if I want to try it. And I was a little burnt out at the moment. Like at that moment in Miami City Ballet. I was dealing with a lot of... well, not injuries like physically, but just emotionally. I was very like drained. I was like, oh, I need to take a little break, or like just feel something different. And then that was happening at New York City Ballet. I was like, oh, this is my window here. Like I can like make a decision for myself. Like it had been years since I had actually made a decision, which was to go to that competition. Like that was the first like email that I sent that opened a window.
I was just thinking about that. I was thinking, you know, even like the things that I've heard, it's like even when things are so clearly not going to happen, you have to go to SAB to be at New York City Ballet. the competition is closed. Literally, you can't enter. You've gone, okay. And that actually is a skill that I think, particularly through the years as a dancer, it gets pushed and dampened because you're not making those decisions for yourself.
And it's a practice too. It's like every time you send out that one email, you realize, oh, I can do this.
Yeah.
And so it's helpful, just like in life, like, oh, I can cross this street this way.
Yeah.
It's like such a muscle and confidence thing for yourself to be able to feel like valid to do it.
Yeah. And I mean, I always felt like I already have the no. Like the answer is always no if you don't ask. So you already have an answer, but I'm like, I might as well ask. Yeah. Because I already know
nice
it's
thing
no.
To think about.
Yeah.
It's always no, so might
it's
as well
always
ask.
no.
Yeah.
But if you ask, it might be different.
It might be yes.
So that's how I felt about the competition. And then just 10 years later almost, maybe, no, I didn't think about that, maybe like to the day, maybe like around 10 years exactly. And and then I saw that window opening in New York City Ballet. I was like, you know what, I'm going to send an email. And the email was very much like, oh, I know this is a little unorthodox, but I would love to audition if you guys are ever willing to take a new dancer. You know, someone from the outside. I know it's happened throughout the history of the company. It doesn't happen often, but it has happened.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, we're going to consider this, take this very seriously. And this was, I don't know, maybe on a Friday. On Sunday, they were like, yeah, we want to have you audition.
So cool.
Let's look into like the next couple of weeks for you to come up. And then I was going to Philly the following week, and I came to New York for like one night, and they saw that I was here. They were like, can you come in tomorrow? And I had nothing. I had like no ballet shoes, like no tights. I had to borrow like my friends' like leggings and just went to class, but I had no time to like freak out or anything.
Yeah, that was just probably better.
Yeah,
huh?
honestly.
You didn't have any time to ruminate on
not at all.
You were going into.
I mean, even though like when they said like, can you come in tomorrow? I cried that night, and I cried in the morning.
Because there was pressure?
Yeah, there was. I put so much pressure on myself. But also there was the whole thing like knowing, I did feel like it was going to happen. I mean, the audition was just like a formality. Yeah. Because at the end of the day, they don't hire based on that class. It was like my history. Yeah. People I had worked with. I had worked with Justin Peck a lot at Miami City Ballet. Like, he knew the dancer I was.
And you danced so many balancing roles.
Yeah, and the rap that I had danced, they knew. So, yeah. But I was so nervous. Of also, like, leaving such, like, a part of my life behind. Yeah. Like, it felt, I mean, the people in Miami are my family, especially like all the Brazilians. Like, we had such a tight group. I mean, I still have like a group text with them, you know, like we talk almost every day. So it felt like really, it
was a change, big change.
You spend every day with those people. Yeah. And I think it's like, for anyone listening that's not a dancer, like, I always think now that because it's been so long for me since I was in that environment, but it is like going to school and then never really leaving that environment. Like, you're constantly learning and growing and aging and evolving with a group of people that you see all hours of the day, essentially. Like, your hours are nuts, and you go through so many highs and lows with those people. You're bonded in such a deep way. So to leave that, I mean, it's such a huge part of your life and relationships.
I felt like I, in a way, like dismantled my life, and for the second time, because like I had this 7 years in my hometown, like school, like with all my friends from the Bolshoi for like 7 years. Yeah. And then I had the 9 years in Miami, and then once again, like I was just like leaving all of that and moving to like my new chapter, but already knowing that it hurt a lot the first time, so it was like, I'm doing this again.
Do you feel like that's something, because it's interesting, because when you dismantle your life or you make a big change, it creates so many other opportunities and opens so much up. Do you feel like it's something that you like to do in general? Like, just even not just like uplifting your life like you did before, but in little things in your day. Oh yeah, absolutely. Like with little choices that like change your life. But also I feel so like unattached to things in a way that like if something showed up and they're like, oh, can you move to like New Zealand tomorrow and like start this whole new thing? If I felt like it was something that was going to be good, I would go. I'd be like, brave. Sure. Yeah, you're so courageous. Yeah. And but it doesn't feel like I am though. Inside, I don't know. It's just like, I mean, to other people it might seem that way. It just feels very normal to me. Yeah. Because I don't know.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it sounds like, to me, it's like a lot of your life and a lot of life as a dancer is a series of like trust falls. Like you're constantly like having to push yourself and see where you can go. And I think that like, at least for me, that always manifested in being like quite interested in like what I could do, like what is possible for me, like not just physically, but like where I can go and what I can do. And it's so interesting because even just your journey, even though it might feel like from the outside or from the offset that like a lot of things have gone your way, you've been in the right place at the right time. Actually, it's so like, it sounds to me like it's such a manifestation of those little actions of like you pushing the boundaries of what the reality of situations have been. The competition's closed. I'm going to see if I can do that. Like New York City Ballet, I'm going to see. And so, yeah, it aligns, but only because you ask for it.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. I'm always like, let's see what happens. Let's ask for it. Let's do it.
Yeah.
Let's
it's a nice
show
challenge.
up. Yeah. Yeah.
So
Absolutely.
you were a principal at Miami.
I was,
moving. And when you came to the company, you were a soloist?
I came as a soloist,
You came as a soloist?
Yeah. If they had offered me a core contract, I would have taken it.
No.
I was just like, no, I would have come. I would have been like, yeah, sure, of course. Yeah. I mean, it was with a promise, like, we want you. We want to push you. We want you to dance these things, but like, we can't have you come in, as a principal.
Yeah. How was that for like the ego in terms of like you got somewhere and then you're having to take a step back? And just in the environment, like I can't imagine, even though New York City Ballet does occasionally take people in and maybe that changed a bit with the new direction, how was it coming into a company where everybody was part of the same club for years and then you're suddenly coming in like, hi, I sent an email, I'm Bolshoi, like, I know what I want and I asked for it.
It took a lot of I felt like I really like fortified myself before I came. Is that a word? Yes. Like that I was really like trying to make myself strong because I was like, this is gonna be a challenge. I really have to build all my strengths because I feel like people, the environment, the ballets, everything is gonna try to take me down.
How did you do that building up?
Well, physically trying to get very strong, make sure like my technique was in place. Really I was going to the gym. And then I had started therapy also. That was like the first time. And also like when I got into meditation too, kind of aligned that it was that year that I started doing that, like with friends. So I feel like all those things are coming together. I felt very strong when I came in.
Yeah, mentally
I felt
and
very
physically.
ready. And I think also the company was like, it was kind of like the new era of New York City Ballet.
Yeah,
so,
there's a big change.
Yeah, there was a big change for everyone. Even though they were all like part of this group, this family, this like club, they were all like kind of...
a bit displaced themselves.
Yeah, they were.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, like
that's how
their boat was not just going at this point. Everyone was kind of like putting their life jackets on, trying to...
Totally.
So I felt that helped also me coming in. But people were honestly very sweet and receptive. And... yeah, but I just felt like I had to tell myself really every day that I deserved to be there. Even coming in, I was like, oh, I'm not going to be like in class on the corner or combinations. I'm going to be in the back. I was like, no, I deserve to be here as much as everyone. Even though some people might not think it, but I had to tell myself that. Otherwise, I would have been like swallowed alive, know? So I would come in and be like, no, I take my space. I remember my very first class. I was like behind this principal dancer. I'm not gonna name any names. And they were like, "Oh, just so you know, this is my bar spot." And then I was like, "Okay, I'll make sure I don't squeeze you then."
That's good though. You like.
So I try to like make light out of it, but I'm like, don't push me around. Like I don't know.
Yeah.
Like I don't know, but
that's brilliant.
Humor is very helpful in those moments too, because then it can also maybe help alleviate this other person that like shouldn't, it's not that serious. It's like you're standing.
But I get it. Like I am a little attached to like where I like to be in class. It's normal. It's just like get used to it.
You gravitate to it.
Yeah, you just like every time you go there. But I had to really like come in like and be strong.
This podcast is an extension of our app, Grace and Form, where we bring ballet classes and ballet-inspired movement practices to you from beginner to pro, so everybody and everybody can experience our love of dance in their own home.
Absolutely, and we want to share everything that makes us feel amazing with you, and you don't even need a studio, and that's what's so wonderful about it. You can feel good anywhere.
So download the app, get a 7-day free trial, come move with me and Indy and some of our wonderful guests and incredible teachers.
We can't wait to see you.
That's amazing that you were already kind of doing those things before, meditating, going to therapy. This is it's a big jump. Was there something in your life, or was it just kind of you were saying that like you were emotionally ready for a change?
Yeah, I think so.
All of that come to a head, and then that's when you kind of were going, okay, I'll start going to therapy.
Yeah, I think like the meditation kind of just happened because friends were doing it, but that's the thing, like, in some level my body knew that a change was coming, so you start like doing things without even knowing what you're doing. But then the therapy was a choice, you know. It was something that I was like, I need to do it, I want to do it. I mean, growing up I was very into like self-development and like understanding like the body, mind, emotions. And I actually wanted to be like a psychologist growing up. And
so
I mean, I still wanted to do it, but I'm like, I'm not going to med school. I'm not doing this. The most I'll do, I can take like a coaching course, which I have done. But anyway,
certification.
Yeah, something like that. But yeah, I just felt like I needed that. It was time. Like my brain was telling me like, you know, dive in a little more, and you're gonna need it. It's gonna be good that you do it, you know.
It's amazing because you spend so much time like expressing things through your body.
Yeah,
like words can be challenging. I think a lot of dancers
totally.
Like we talk about it a lot. Like when Indy and I started Grace and Form, I remember we sat down and we like Indy was in front of a camera. She was like, I never speak.
Yeah,
like,
and I always, for me, I get really anxious to speak, not because like I'm obviously very comfortable speaking with people that I love and feel comfortable with, and I also personally am very curious to talk to people, so I like it once I get in. But for me,
never stops.
And never stop. But the build up to it, like I get like nauseous. I go bright red. It's so interesting. Yeah. So like
I sweat. I don't get red, but I sweat.
You sweat. Yeah.
I sweat. My God.
Yes, I've seen it.
It's such a man thing. I feel like
to sweat.
To sweat.
Just so much sweat.
Yeah.
You really do sweat a lot.
I sweat a lot at work. Like literally, like not exaggerated. I'm the most sweaty.
Most sweaty, but you also drink the most water.
Yeah.
And like
healthy
electrolytes.
Always with electrolytes.
Maybe this principal dancer knew that.
Time.
Yeah.
When you stood next to her at the bar, she was like,
I don't want your driplets on me.
Yeah, I always have like a little like puddle after a bar.
You have a puddle with your water and millions of snacks. Jovani is the snack king.
Yeah.
I love this. Okay.
Which is very important and good.
Yeah, so he's keeping his energy up.
Yeah. No, but talking is hard. Like I'm trying. And even like, you know, with my business, social media, all of that, I feel like it's so important to have make yourself like the face of whatever, like you have like skin in the game, you know. You're like, I'm here, I'm present, I'm talking about the things, but it's so hard. Like if you judge, you feel like you're saying the wrong thing.
Yeah.
And you feel like your opinion, like everyone wants to have an opinion about everything, so they're gonna have an opinion about what you're saying, and this is wrong, this is right. You know, so it's a little hard.
It's easier maybe when people have an opinion about your dancing, because in some ways like the steps are choreographed for you, and then it's about how you're doing them, but it's not, you're not putting or pushing your opinion to people.
Yeah, it's not your brain.
I'm like, I'm doing what I'm told.
Yes.
Yeah, all the time. Like I can always blame it on someone else.
Yeah.
I'm like, I wanted to do that step differently, but they didn't let me.
Yeah.
They told me to do it like this. You know.
Do you feel like meditation has helped you like be able to put yourself out there and talk?
Or
is it more therapy that's helped you just like with being confident in actually speaking?
I think both. You know, meditation really helps you like just kind of accept where you're at that moment, and like, this is how I have to present it. Even like it might not be the best way. Like this morning, like coming here, I was thinking like, how do I feel today to like talk? Yeah. Am I in my best like version, my best mood? Even as we were preparing, I was like, should I have done this different? Should I have had more caffeine? I'm like, no, it's okay. You know, it's gonna like
just
flow.
Be yourself.
And later I'm gonna look at it. I'm like, I remember how I was feeling that day.
Yeah.
And you know, it's fine. So it does help. It just helps you like
accept.
I don't think it like changes. It does change it, but it's more that like you just embrace whatever version you have at that day in that moment. So
you let go of expectations in many ways. That's what I find meditation really helps me do, is just let go of like my brain overriding everything else and wanting something to be a particular way.
Yeah.
And inner like peace.
Yeah.
Like peace to be able to be in your day actually.
Yeah.
And not worrying about the future, not worrying about this
it's so
and that.
hard. It's so much work.
And in New York City it's hard too, because it's like you feel like, you know, not everybody, but it's very, I'm sure you've both experienced this, being on the street, everybody is very like tunnel visioned because they need to be where they need to be at the time that they need to be.
Yeah.
And there's a subway
Oh no, they're already
traffic.
late.
They're already late. Yeah. Yeah, totally. So it's like
late.
it's hard to be able to just like sit with just being at peace because there's so much chaos around.
Yeah. Even when you do so much, you're like, did I do enough?
Yeah.
Even today, this morning, it's like I woke up, I had a nice breakfast. I did like 5 minutes of abs, but I'm like, I should have done 15. I should have gone to the gym. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm not accomplished enough, and it's 10 a.m. already, you know? So, yeah.
It's talking of accomplishments. One of the things that I was saying to Indy recently, being a principal and almost being at the pinnacle on paper of where you can be in your career. How has that been? So you obviously went back to soloist in order to come into New York City Ballet and then go back into a role of principal dancer. How is it now when on paper you're basically at the peak of your career to continue to find ways to push yourself and make the years of dancing interesting?
Yeah. Well, I try to like remind myself of, because honestly, the paper, even though it's amazing, it really like how you feel. It really matters like how you feel in that place, like every day and with yourself.
Totally.
But I do have to remind myself. I'm like, oh, this is it. Like where
you
else?
made it.
I made it. Like, and way more. Like I had no ambition. My ambitions were to like get into the core of a company. Never thought of being a soloist or principal. So that is like already amazing. But I think to keep it, you know, moving and interesting and fulfilling, to me is like the work, focusing on the work and like myself and like how I present, how I show up, how do I feel in rehearsal, not just in performance. Like I thrive sometimes more in rehearsals than, you know, it's just,
you do.
It's so, I don't know, it's such a special environment. It's so, I don't know, it's so fun, it's so interesting when you actually let yourself like just be present and be vulnerable and be challenged also like by feeling a certain way that day, like feeling tired or unmotivated, and actually just showing up and doing it and seeing how that can be like so transformative. I mean, in the long run, but just also like in those 30 minutes that you have in the studio. So I think that's like to me, it's just the work, like showing up. That's how I stay motivated, and that's how I stay like, that I feel like I can keep growing and developing myself in the career.
You really helped me in the studio, like be okay with being silly. Because we're very silly in our relationship, which is lovely, and I'm grateful for it. But in the studio, when you have to be there a certain amount of time and you have a certain amount of steps to learn, and there's also tension that you can't control, you know, just
you're
yourself.
Dealing with so much.
Yeah, you there's so much to deal with. There's accompanist, and the teachers,
colleagues,
and
time, tiredness, and
7 hours of rehearsal.
The mirror. Oh my God, the mirror. Do you know what I've noticed lately? Yeah, like, because I have been, like, I'm dealing with an injury.
Yes.
And I haven't really been in a ballet studio for, like, almost 2 months, like, more than for, like, 30 minutes or an hour that I taught class. And it's so nice. Like,
it's a pleasure
to not be in front of a mirror. And at home, like, I changed my mirror so I can't really like see myself like I used to, like in my full body. Anyway, it's so crazy how that affects us, like our vision of ourselves, just constantly being like seeing your reflection. It starts to just, you get like a very twisted image of yourself.
How do you feel now that you haven't, like that you've had the experience of not?
Oh, I feel great. I'm like, let's cover this.
Yeah, let's cover the mirrors,
I mean, we need it though.
No.
We do
to, like,
need
check
it
positions
because
and
sometimes,
things like that,
you know, we look at a Vera photo. I'm like, oh my God, you know, like I gotta fix this. We really do need it.
But it goes back to what you're saying about like having those routines that allow you to stay grounded throughout the fact that you are dealing with lots of different things that are going to push you to feel many things about yourself, like having an injury. Like being injured. And I experienced that when I was dancing, which is like, it's so difficult when your tool is not working properly and you're having to take a step back and elements of that are out of your control. How do you deal with that time mentally?
Oh, it's hard. Every day is like different. It's easier to actually not think so much of like ballet for me. Like I'm just trying to think of like my recovery, even though like I go in the studio and I start like doing some exercises, immediately I want to go into like dance mode, like do arabesque. I'm like checking my line. It's still there.
Do I have it?
Do I have it? Is it still there? But I think once again it's just like showing up. Sometimes I'm like, oh my God, the PT is not working, like physical therapy is not making me better, but I just go every day, and then I go and I'm like, oh yeah, it is working. But it's like a lot of like mental work of just believing in it, that it will come together, like that I can't control the time frame and like when it's gonna happen. But if I just keep showing up and doing the things that I'm supposed to do, that you align.
Yeah,
There's
having
no, like,
patience with yourself.
And like in a way that I might not even understand in the future, but it's just like getting the job in New York City Ballet, like getting into Miami City Ballet, all those things, like I didn't know I was working towards these things. I was working and then they happen, you know? So right now, like, I mean, I am working towards certain things, but it doesn't mean that will happen. Something will happen. I don't know what, but so I'll just keep working.
That's a beautiful mindset to have, because it's so true. Like so often, like we actually can't control, or we don't know what is ahead of us. Yeah. But if we continue like putting
you never can.
Foot in front
you
of
never
the
can.
You can
you
never
really
do
think
that. You
that
can never
you can.
control.
Yeah.
And so like relinquishing control is like, I mean, personally in my experience, it's been the most healing, helpful thing to relinquish control. And it's a constant effort to do it every day, to feel, oh, I'm trying to control this, even in myself or with others, micromanage.
Yeah.
And then you realize, and you're like, wow, I was trying to control that. Not even because of control issues, but or something that's like, you know, it's just like a human instinct, like an instinct to do that. And so like relinquishing the control of time frame, where you think you're gonna go loosely, so that you can also just have the open mind, feeling like a sponge, receiving everything. You know, that's how relinquishing control can help get everything. You get so much more out of it. Yeah. And like even in the performing aspect of our job, I don't know how you feel, but I feel when I go on stage, I'm so scared in the beginning, and then I have to just like in the wing, and then I just have to relinquish control to be able to actually accomplish performing and being present. And it's such a, I feel like we're very lucky where we have to actively do that on a constant in our career, but translating it and doing it into your life when you don't have as much control in your career because we're told what to do. So like in your life, you can find that you can control so much more. So finding ways to also relinquish the control, it brings so much peace. And I'm sure with injury, it's so helpful to like find a way to like calm that controlling human instinct of like, I want to manage my injury. I want to manage how my body's healing, like how strong it's getting. When you can't, like our bodies are incredible and they will heal, but you have to give them time, love, patience, and, you know, nourishment and nurture. And it just keeps like going back to like showing up, you know, for myself, or like, or even like just having like a scheduled time. Some days I'm like, oh, I'm not even showing up for myself. I'm just showing up for the PT that scheduled me because I don't even want to be here right now. But it's like that duality, because when you feel like you have that what you do matters, that you think you're like controlling it by like, oh no, but if I work really hard, I should get this role. So I'm going to work hard. But then, so that's like a motivator for you to work hard. But then also like acknowledging, oh, I have no control. But then that's hard sometimes to make yourself show up. Because then it can also turn into like, oh, but then it doesn't matter what I do. I have no control. So it's just like finding that balance. So that's, you want to think that you have control, so it matters what you do, but at the same time, like acknowledging that you don't, so it doesn't really matter what you do. You know? Or like being okay with pivoting. Like in the beginning of our talk, like you being open-minded is bringing you to where you are. And so like that, the control that you know you need to get to the place, because obviously we've controlled our lives immensely, all three of us, to get to where we've been, because it takes so much dedication. But then being open-minded, taking in the maybe the sadness if it goes a different route, and like the anger maybe, and feeling it, and being you have to feel those things in order to be open to going the next route.
It's such a great mindset, and I think it like comes with age and experience of that, essentially the same thing as what you're saying, which is like, instead of just constantly thinking about what's about to happen, it's like really, it sounds like you're just able to, and the practices that you're putting in place, like slow down enough to actually enjoy as much as you can all the in-between moments. Because when you put emphasis on like what you're constantly trying to achieve, it's like in a very basic way, like I want to be in a happy relationship so that I can then get married, so then I can have a kid. Then it's like you're waiting for those big milestones.
You're always future, and you're actually not in yourself. And you're missing everything that's so
all
beautiful that's passing you by. All the colors, that you see around.
Yeah, but I mean, still, it takes a village every
so
single
hard.
day.
Yeah.
And the village is me. It's like there's so many me's. All the voices in my head.
It's me.
But yeah, it's but I do have that ingrained in me, but it's a lot easier said than done, you know, like it's a lot easier but it takes work and every day, you know. And even throughout the day there, you know, you get in like flow state for sometimes 30 minutes in the day and the rest the other like 23 and a half hours are not like that, but you know.
Yeah.
It goes and flows. We have a little thing on this podcast that we were talking about doing, which is called the 3 spotlights, and essentially just looking at 3 moments, and maybe we've touched slightly on them in your life, personal life, career life, whatever member of the Jovani village it touches on. Like 3 spotlights on moments that really stand out in your life that feel like maybe in retrospect you've learned something from or really changed, allowed a pivot in your life. Just those moments that if there was like a little movie of your time stands out to you personally as being the moments that you'll remember as either creating a ripple effect of change or changing something in you.
There's so many. I think it's so hard to, because I really do feel like every single choice we make, even though it's like really small, or like they can change the course of your life, like taking a right turn instead of a left, like you can really just like change. But I definitely like the pandemic, you know, having that time that it was like kind of everyone's life, like we got robbed over like our lives and like control. We think we can control, and if they decide to shut down the world, there's nothing you can do about it. And that just like proved, you know, that we can't control anything. So I think having that time off really changed my life and my mindset about how I felt in my career, how I felt in my relationships, how I spend time with my family and myself. And that's when also like I started my dancewear, like knowing that I had other interests. I think prior to that, I just thought I was like a dancer, like I'm a ballet dancer. Like when you ask like, how do you introduce yourself? And up until that moment, I felt like very much of who I was ballet. Like it's not just something I do, it's something I am, and I still have that in me. But I understood that I have so much more than that, and that I'm like less scared of like post dancing life. I'm like, I have interests. I'm gonna want to like dive into other things. And so that really changed, and like starting my dancewear. So that was one of the 3 moments.
That's an amazing thing, because I definitely experienced that, and I think every dancer does at some point. Even if they started dancing as a kid, it became their identity, and then they decided to pivot and do something else.
And it made you special, so you also were very confident in using that. And also it's very easy to hide behind things sometimes, and then when you put it down, you're like, oh wait, I can also just be myself. That's so nice too. Or like it's good enough. I don't have to hide behind just being the ballerina or the dancer, not because you even are consciously doing that, but just that it's a comfort that we've had since we've been so young, and an identity, and then finding different identities within ourselves. So interesting. And like a pause like the pandemic, obviously when you're stripped away from your day-to-day identity of what you're used to, it opens up such a vulnerable place for you to figure out and just see what else you have in there.
And be open to it, and be kind to yourself in those moments too, where you're trying to figure it out. Because like that's the other thing, is when you really have just been doing and driving forward one passion for like decades, to be open and gentle on yourself and trying to figure out what else it might be. It's really tough.
Still trying to figure out how to be gentle on myself sometimes. But
I think we all are.
That's for sure. I always send Sassy texts saying, just be kind to yourself.
You send me stuff too.
I send you stuff too.
Or,
She's good with the texts, the memes, the dog videos. And then be kind to yourself
Whenever
messages.
I see it and I'm thinking about you guys, I'm like, gotta send something. Just you know, it's a good reminder.
I send her like sassy stuff.
I love it though.
Really,
it makes me laugh.
Inappropriate like.
But that's good too. We have to be humorous in life because it's tough.
When what is the thing? One time I told you when you wish upon a star, the star, did you know the star is already dead, just like your dreams? It's just like things like that.
Wait, say it again. When you wish upon
because
a
like
star.
what's a shooting star?
Yeah.
It's the star.
This
It's
is one of my
dead.
favorite things
It's
that
so
Jovani
dark
sent
though
me.
because it's like, oh, you're like wishing upon like a dead star,
Yeah.
and I'm like, yeah, it's dead, just like
Just like your
Yeah, when you wish
dreams.
upon a star, well, the star is actually dead, so your dream's dead.
yeah.
That's the message.
Over and out.
Yeah. But it's just like to keep it, balanced.
Yeah, you gotta have
It's
some
like-
humor.
Yeah. Yeah.
Life's too
Yeah.
serious.
Yeah.
Yeah.
True.
Yeah. Make it a comedy, not
Yeah.
a tragedy, because you can look at it like everything. I mean, the
Yeah.
pandemic, for example, was a tragedy, but we were all trying to, make the most that we
Yeah.
could with that moment.
Yeah,
And,
totally.
yeah, and some of us were not able to get out of like the tragedy state of it because it just felt like that. But luckily I was able to.
Yeah, can't control the outer, but you can always
Yeah.
control the inner.
Yeah.
Like how you respond to it
Yeah.
all, and how much you laugh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is true. So number one, second
Oh, that's so
moment,
hard.
Giovanni and the village.
Yeah. I think joining New York City Ballet,
Mm.
like making that choice for myself, like much later in my life, that I just kind of thought that my life was sad, that was going to be it. I was in a relationship at that time for a really long time, like almost like 6 years. So I thought that was like also like my person. It's like
Yeah.
Miami City Ballet, getting married. This is what's going to be like.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then I think joining New York City Ballet was definitely like, that moment was
Big
just
pivotal moment.
yeah, big pivotal moment of like growth and just having to face I don't know, New York City and new colleagues and new routine, and that place still feels like that a little bit for me, because even though it feels like I've been there forever, that I had never been anywhere else, sometimes it feels like that. I also still like I'm an outsider there. I didn't go to the school. I didn't have the experience that everyone had, like the summer programs and the teachers, how everyone talks about, so I think that was really
A moment.
yeah.
And that's when you kind of really were starting to like put in those practices of kindness to yourself, the meditation,
Yeah.
the standing, the verb, like I deserve to be here.
Yeah.
And it's so lovely to have just be different.
Yeah.
Like it's really hard. I'm sure it was really hard, and you're saying it was, but there's also so much beauty to it, because how you felt is how you felt, and then how personally how I felt when you came in, I felt like it was such a nice relief to feel someone different. Not that anybody else is not wonderful in the company, but just like a different energy,
it's
different
nice.
drive, creativity, experience, knowledge of life and the world, and knowledge of how you deal with relationships, how you go into friendships.
Perspective is my perspective is very
your
different.
perspective is so
and
different.
I do feel like appreciated by a lot of people.
Yeah.
Thankfully,
What's
You've got
different? What's different about Giovanni's perspective? I feel like I'm not in on the secret.
I mean,
it's
kind of everything I've been saying.
Yeah.
Like, you're just like, you're so open-minded, and it doesn't feel like, and very positive, which I appreciate, because I feel like quite a positive person. And it's nice to be matched with another positive, like humorous, absolutely ridiculously silly clown, because you're just a little clown, which is my favorite thing.
You need it in the building.
And you need it.
Oh
It's
yeah,
so
you do need it.
serious.
Yeah.
My
I mean,
goodness.
it's in every company. It's not
Yeah.
like it's just because of this company, but it's like,
No, yeah.
I will say you guys don't have many windows.
we
Oh,
have
yeah, that's
no
all.
windows
No
in the
So
windows.
theater.
every time I think about that, I think that you need to bring in a lot of fun and humor into that building, because
And we
not
do.
having
Yeah, we
direct
do.
light.
we do.
Yeah,
But it
Jovani
feels
and
just
I are-
like I don't know like what it is about my perspective that is different, but I just feel like it is. Well, coming from a different company, having so many years.
Yeah.
Like,
It's gonna be different.
yeah.
I think also trusting the process
Yeah.
and trusting just life to take you where it's gonna go, and not be worried of, not be like so feeling so controlled of where you want to go.
Yeah.
Like basically just really having for me, what it was so nice was seeing your open-mindedness, instead of thinking, oh, I have a place, a direction, and something that I want to achieve, and I need to achieve it.
Yeah.
And that's it.
Yeah.
There was like room for life around and in your day-to-day, and not having to like micromanage your day because you needed to be the best person in tendu, and like you know, something so minimal, but it's like, for me it was such a relief, because I thought I had to do all my exercises every single day to feel this good, to do this, to be able to do this, to be able to perform, to be able to.
And then if you don't do it, you like guilt yourself.
You guilt yourself.
Oh, I didn't do it.
Exactly. And so I think like you've had your perspective, for me, has helped alleviate some of the pressure that I've put on myself, in knowing like you can do those things also at different times of the day.
Yeah.
And also it's one day of not doing something because you respect how you feel.
Yeah.
Because you're feeling tired one day, and taking the priority of rest for that day, and then being more intentional with your exercises energy the next day, or your energy the next day, or like or not going out and staying in and being with yourself. You know, it's so that's kind of the perspective that
I will never tell you that. I'm like, go out.
You do
go have fun, Mindy.
It's true. You do always tell me that, but that's also helpful.
Yeah. So like, you know, just go be human.
Yeah.
That's nice. That's nice. It's
like you take off the pressure of like just being an extremely high performance professional athlete. You're also like a human being.
Yeah, even though I'm doing that though,
fun.
like
and that's, I think, that's Jovani.
Yeah. That's Jovani.
Yeah.
Okay, third one, Jovani.
Oh my god, third one. I keep going back to like just reflecting, to me, like on the pandemic, because I was never home. Like for 10 years, I never got to really be home for like a whole year and like enjoying.
Were you with your family?
Yeah, I was with my family for like almost like a year and a half, because that's how long we were gone, right?
Yeah,
like,
a year and a half.
Yeah, it's like the theater was closed. So I think that journey, I didn't understand it while it was happening, but looking back at it, just to have that time to like reset and like
get to know your family as an adult.
Absolutely. It's
pretty special.
So that definitely was like, even though it's kind of the same as the first one, but for different reasons.
Yeah.
But having like, I never thought of it that way, but getting to know my family as an adult and myself as an adult in their environment and in my city, in my country, you know. And now every time I go back, I feel more, I used to feel like a visitor every time I went there. And for the first 10 years that I lived here, but then post-pandemic, I don't feel like a visitor anymore. I feel like I actually like, I am home, you know?
Yeah, you live there.
Yeah, I live there.
Yeah.
You know, I feel like my life is, I reconnected with everyone, with everything, with my environment, with people, family, the bakery across the street, and all
your
of those
language
things.
too.
My language.
You got to be with
the
everyone.
Gym, so
amazing. And then that's when you started Furlan Dancewear.
Yes, that's when I started.
Totally different journey to ballet.
Yes, oh my god, yeah. Every day is like, this morning I woke up like, it's one of the things I try to do like in the mornings, like do like customer service emails. I'm like, oh, it's so funny because it's
customer service. Nobody realizes starting a business is actually just a customer service job.
Because like because like I don't make the pieces, I like draw them and send it to a designer.
Yeah.
So I get to like, that's like fun and creative, but at the end of the day, what I have to do is like talk to the accountants, like about like sales tax, organize everything, like, and be creative, but also like do like the small little things, you know, like at the end of the day, it's like about that. Like,
do you ever feel completely overwhelmed? Like, why did I start this? I have a full-time job. I now have also started something else.
Absolutely. I feel very overwhelmed at times. I'm like, why didn't I just like stick to dance? So like showing up and like doing my tandus.
Yeah.
What like, how do you reset yourself then? Do you just kind of go, you breathe it through and it passes? I
think just doing it. Actually, like,
you force yourself to do it.
You're like, you're like, oh my God, this is like so tough. I'm like, it's an email. You know, it's not really that hard.
You have to sit down and read and then write a little.
I'm like, God, why do you give me the toughest battles? It's an email, you know? It's just honestly like doing it, and you see like it's not like as monstrous as you thought. You know, it takes work. And I honestly feel like I want to be doing more, and I could be doing more, and I will be doing more. Because if I want to grow, like I really have to put in, like show up again in just a different way. It's sometimes like, oh my God, it's so much easier to just exhaust myself in the studio rather than actually having to be here and dealing with
what you're
like,
trained in.
That's so I'm trying to like retrain my brain, and I feel like I can be very passionate about it. Like I honestly do feel like whatever I'm doing at that moment becomes my favorite thing.
Yeah.
But it's hard to juggle two things because like then you're constantly like when ballet is going great, I'm feeling good, I'm doing like really well, I can get really pulled that way and not want to like respond my emails or like post on social media and like think about like, oh, the next collection. But it's also so fulfilling in a different way. And also scary in a different way. Like you're putting yourself out there in a totally, I don't know, it makes me feel very vulnerable to like dance, you know, because it's like my name and like things that I wear. I'm like, oh, if it doesn't fit right, or if that person didn't like it. Yeah, well,
it's that thing. It's like there's actually it goes back to you. Whereas there's often other people that are available to put a little bit of blame on or get a bit of work on or whatever. But when it goes back to you, it's your name. It's at the end of the day, it comes back to you. It's a totally different ball game.
But the customer is always right.
The customer is always right.
Like I ordered the wrong size. It's my fault. It's my fault. Don't worry about it.
Best.
It's not you. It's me.
It's not you. It's
Sorry.
Yeah, but I honestly do love it, and I'm so excited. I have like a bazillion ideas that it's also hard to like manage just like time, like the timeline of when you want to release things and when you want to do things, because sometimes when there's so many options, you don't know what to choose. Sometimes I just want to like help with that. I'm like, okay, which color is best? I'm like, I don't even care about me deciding. I just want someone to decide it for me. Because once again, I'm not used to making decisions and like thinking that it's the best for me. But when in ballet, someone makes that for me, even if it's not the best, it's made. You know. And here I have like constantly. So I'm learning a lot about that of just like choosing and also understanding that like it's not really gonna like affect like the fate of things if I like choose to do the line in one color or like rather than the other.
Taking
like,
off the pressure. And bringing back the fun. And it's hard when it's on your own. It's like it's quite useful. Like I love working with Indy because even if sometimes I'm just speaking to her and I make my own decision on it, it's just nice to have the sounding board.
It's
always
very the sounding board.
Honestly, it's really,
and
really
I don't
nice.
mind ever. I
love Indy's ears.
I wish I had
listening.
I wish I had started my brand with a partner sometimes because it's really like, and I was talking to another friend who's a business owner. He used to be a dancer, Jordan Samuel. He danced for PNB and he started like a skincare line. And talking to him about it, I'm like, when do you actually like go and like seek help? Like at what point? When do I like pass that point? Like and I'm just like trying to figure that out, but I feel very like privileged also to have like this amazing career where I'm gonna dance for many more years, but building this other side of me, so when I make the transfer, I can put my energy into something else already that I'm building, and also have time to kind of like to do like trial and error, for a few years.
You know, can
the
see
brand.
what you like too.
And I feel I'm like, am I really passionate about this? And also for me, like financially now I have to like rely on it. Yet, you know?
You have the space to play and also find your passions so that when it's not ballet, the crazy hours and the performances that you do, you have something you can like effortlessly glide into that you love as well. I think it's a special thing. So with all of that, the highs and the lows, what would you say are the things that if somebody's listening, or perhaps like little Jovani, that you've learned to just be kinder to yourselves, through it all?
I think it's learning how to just not feel like you have to control things, for sure. Like come in as a sponge, like for the good and the bad, because there's gonna be like a lot of bad and things that are not so positive. They're not gonna affect you in a way that, I thought my life was gonna be a certain way and it's not, and it's okay, so it's just like knowing that you can't control these things, and you can't even, I want to say like, you can control how you feel, but sometimes you can't, and that's okay too. But it's just like finding ways of navigating without the unnecessary stuff, because we start like accumulating, like you said about the boats and the water, and sometimes even if the current is like rough, but you're still like going, you can still learn how to navigate that without having like anchors like weighing you down. So kind of just like let them stay behind and know that also your boat's not like someone else's boat. Like there's no perfect like recipe for life, even though we want to follow someone's recipes. And today with like social media and stuff, sometimes I'm doing something and it's like it feels good, and then I see someone doing something else and I'm like, oh, I should be doing that. I shouldn't be doing what I'm doing. They are living life, right? Not me, you know. So it's just like staying in your lane while also being able to like share with others.
Jovani, it's been the best. It's also been the best for me personally, getting to know you even more, because I hear all the amazing, brilliant things from India always. And we've had drinks before, but now I've gotten into the deep good stuff. So thank you so much for coming and chatting to us. And
this is so fun.
Telling you how you've been a little kinder to yourself over the years. It's a very inspiring story, and we're really grateful that you shared.
Thank you for listening to the Grace Informed podcast. This episode was produced by Indiana Woodward, Megan Elsie McNally, and me, Saskia Gregson-Williams, and edited by Megan Elsie McNally. This season of the podcast was sponsored by our partners at Discount Dance. If you're really loving the show, it would be wonderful if you take a moment to rate and review us. It helps other ballet lovers find our pod and lets us bring you even more episodes. And of course, don't forget to subscribe.
Have thoughts, questions, or topics you'd like us to explore? You can find us on all social media platforms as Grace Informed Studio. Drop us a message. If this episode has got you itching to move, oh, do we have the app for you. Download the Grace Informed app today and start your 7-day free trial. Whether you're a seasoned dancer or just starting out, there are ballet classes and dance-inspired workouts for everyone, no matter the level. Come join our community of dance lovers and experience the joy of movement for yourself. Again, thank you so much for listening, and until next time, take a deep breath in, be gentle with yourself, and always keep moving forward.